having the likes of Aldeguer, and now for Cebu having the likes of Liddell, to be able to be that young player that you just want to root for, because as you've mentioned earlier as well, the sky is the limit for these young players. And you're so happy to see as well that his performance in the league so far has got him that call up to the national team as well.
That's a big one. That's a big one. I also want to talk about it. Speaking of players with a lot of potential, Brian Villanueva, the left back, 19 years of age. He is a thorn in the side. He could be theatrical. He gets under the skin of his opponents, and he might divide the room in terms of like, I don't like his antics or whatever. But just as a player, just as a fighter, 19 years old, quality. I mean, like, he's the type of player that you'd want if you're a coach. Like, I can count on him to fight, you know, and he's got quality as well. So great, great player, and I've been very impressed with what I've seen from him.
Yeah, all these players that we've mentioned, of course, they could be really busy this December because, of course, we have the SEA Games coming up. And I think for Cebu, they also have a shorter December break because at December 3, I believe they'll be hosting Selangor in Rizal Memorial Stadium for the Shopee Cup,
right,
which is a competition that also runs into next year. So Cebu are going to be very busy, but as Natasha said, they are becoming, or they are coming into good form at the most crucial points in their calendar year. So that was the second game on Saturday. And
You hope they keep their squad together.
that's true,
Yeah.
because I believe we have a transfer window
Yes.
coming into the Christmas break.
Yes.
Let's see if they can strengthen. Well, firstly, if they can hold all their quality players and then strengthen. But as I mentioned, that was our second game. What a game for Cebu. For Maharlika, a bit disappointing. They want to break into the top 6, but it's this type of result that they need to get points out of. But in the end of the day, it was Cebu's 3 points to bring back to Cebu, of course, because they travel back to their home after each game. The last match of Saturday, of the previous Saturday, was a really, really feisty one. It was Stallion Laguna FC tying with Aguilas UMAC FC, and I think there's only one moment or one part of the game that everyone thinks about when we talk about this game. Jing, I believe you also called this one. What did you think about the end to this wild game?
First of all, it was my birthday that day, and I was like, oh, I'm being treated to some spectacular drama on this day. First of all, I was very impressed with Cebu in the previous match, and then I get to watch this game unfold where I thought, this is it, you know, Stallion Laguna finally, they deserve it. They played well. They did enough, I felt, to earn all 3 points. In fact, they should have garnered all 3 points in this one. And they just let Aguilas off the hook. They gave him an opportunity where it shouldn't have existed anymore. And there's going to be a lot of different takes. Well, actually, there shouldn't be too many takes about how what that goal was, whether or not it should have counted. But it was the free kick. Why are you giving away a free kick with just seconds to go inside your own half? Are you kidding me? You know, if I was a Stallion Laguna fan, I would be ripping my hair out that you have just conceded a needless set piece. And what has happened right after that? You know, the goalkeeper goes up, he nods it into the back of the head, back of the net, and then pandemonium erupts, and then, you know, the controversy begins, right? I mean,
It's not a controversy, guys.
No, the
It
controversy.
shouldn't have been a goal.
So
Let's not pretend that there's two sides to this. It was offside.
meaning, my point being, the flag went up, and then the linesman, God bless him, gets rushed by the entire team of
He just
Aguilas,
got body
right?
cam.
And I don't know the specifics, and I so want to hear the communication between the referees, because they end up overturning this offside call, which I thought on the replay was very clear. De Paula, I believe his name was, he's in offside position, doesn't touch the ball, but he's covering the eyesight of the side of the ball from the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So he's in play. It goes under his legs and into the back of the net. I think that's a clear cut, night and day, like super offside.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree with this?
100%.
So
As long as you are part of you come from an offside position,
Yeah.
regardless of whether he touched the ball or not, even though it was the goalkeeper scored the goal, the fact that he was part of the play, he made that move, he blocked the sight of the goalkeeper
Yeah.
as well. you're offside.
right? So
And they got it correct. That's the craziest
that's the
part. They
beautiful
got-
thing. It's like, hey, well done, guys.
Yeah.
And then just as I was giving the flowers to the officials, they reversed the decision. Fourth official involved, lead referee was talking to the assistant. And I don't know why he changed his mind. You know what I mean? But I mean, at the end of the day, the head referee is going to make the decision. And who do you decide? Like, who's got the best sight of this? And the best angle was from that assistant on the near side. So I don't know what convinced him. Or did he get intimidated by the Aguilas players and the coaching staff that he ended up changing his mind? Because, yeah, that was nuts, in my opinion. And and what hurts me is that the officials are actually doing a decent job in the game until this point, right? And now we're looking at it. It is just madness. But at the same time, ang Stallion ba yung pinakamalas na football club itong first round ng Philippines Football League? Conceding late against Manila Digger. Again, they had qualms about the refereeing. They conceded late against Cebu. And now they've done it again against Aguilas when they should have won. Oh
Against
my goodness.
Kaya as well. Kaya scored in the last 20 minutes of the game. So it's not fine at the last 3 minutes of the game, but it's still towards the last
They are
minutes of
so
the game.
unlucky at the moment. But at the same time, you know, they contribute a little bit to it, as particularly in this game, having conceded that free kick. So
I'll give the flowers to Shiroka as well. He did a lot to get that goal.
yeah,
He had a man marking him.
yeah,
He made the cut. He made the run, the curling run to stay onside.
yeah,
And he connects with the ball.
yeah. This is the only
So
thing.
you must say, like props to the goalkeeper as well.
Yeah.
He did all the right things.
And, you know, I guess despite the irregularity with the call, congratulations to Shirioka. He's the first player in the PFL to score from a goalkeeper position. And I guess you could put an asterisk on it. I don't know. But it was great drama. I'll give it that. You know, it was a fantastic game of football. So I can't complain as a spectator. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an entertaining game. And I think when talking about Stallion, I think I checked this on Transfermarkt, but if you ignore every minute after 90 and look at the table from that perspective, they'd actually be third. That's how high up they would be if it weren't for goals conceded after 90 minutes of play. Because this one, they also conceded to Manila Digger, the equalizer. Then Cebu, the last minute goal by Rico Andes. That's how fine the margins have been for Stallion, and that's why currently they're at 7th when they could have been as high as 3rd, and they could have been tied on points with the likes of, I believe, Wantegig or even Manila Digger. That's how tight it is going to be in the top 6 race. But that's why we love the sport, because you get moments like this where just a few inches or a few minutes away could have been a completely different outcome. And that was our shortened PFL weekend.
But you feel
last
for
week.
them, right? You can't help but feel for them because
Yeah.
Stallion this year, we were talking about this earlier, that I was saying that they're a complete team. They have the attacking threat, first and second round of it. They have the midfielders, they have the back line, and they have the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And you'd say, fine, officiating hasn't been on their side as well.
Sure.
But if it's happened 4 times, is it unlucky or is this a pattern that you have to figure out how to make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Right. Right. Is it a pattern? That's a great question.
But, I feel that they really are a team that should be in the top 2 or the top 3.
I think it is absolute madness that they are outside of the top 6, given how good they are. In every game, they look like, they are a title contender.
Well, for the 90 minutes at least, they look like they're going to win the game.
That's right. That's right. It's really unfortunate, but at the same time, I got a question for you guys. For Aguilas, they had two staff members given red cards, assistant coach and our good friend Dak got a bit berserk in that sequence. But is it worth it for you guys? You think, like, if in any way you were able to, skew the call, that you're able to get 1 point in that match, is all the trouble worth it?
I would say so. But the thing is, obviously, the rules are a bit different for non-players. So they're going to have to play the next or have the next game, and they have to be in the stands. If you're a coach, or if you're not a coach but a member of the staff, you just can't be at the dugout. But that would be pretty worth it if because you're not gonna influence the game anyway, or you weren't gonna. Your absence isn't gonna fully influence the game. Unlike being a player where you're not allowed to play for 3 matches. That's the difference between
Right.
a red card to perhaps a staff member or a player. But yeah, I'd say it's really worth it. Again, though, yeah. Do you have something to say, Natasha?
I have something to say to that. I think that it's not worth it because as a staff, I mean, as a staff member, as a coach, you carry on the responsibility of leading your team. So you set the tone of how you will treat the referees. So if your officials are treating the referees that way, you allow your players, you give them the authority to be able to do the same as well, to disrespect them in that manner. So you set the tone for your team. And it's important that you make sure that you understand the gravity of the position that you're given. And when you think about it, thank you to our good friend at PFL Bible who has the stats to help prove this. Aguilas, UMAC, have the most number of yellow cards, 30 so far,
Wow.
as compared to the ones next to them. Cebu has 13, Taguig has 13.
Whoa. 17 more cards.
And we don't know if we don't know the specific rules, but these tend to accumulate, no, at some point in the season.
Yeah, you will. I assume there will be some sort of punishment once
Yeah.
you reach a particular number. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Was not even on my radar. Thank you. Thank you for that, PFL Bible. Well done.
And shout out, of course, to PFL Bible because he always brings out those types of
Yes.
trivia that
As
you
well
don't
as
usually
PH
see.
transfers.
Yeah, he's also one of
Love
those
them.
ones.
I love them.
And actually,
Welcome back, everybody, to the Philippine Football League. We have match number 42 of the 2025 to 2026 season. It's going to be between Philippine Army FC and Dynamic Herb Cebu FC. I'm going to be calling this game Diego Cordero, and alongside me is going to be Jing Hamlang. Jing, how are you doing this Saturday evening?
Super excited and feeling great, Diego, because it is another triple header in the Philippines Football League. Every Saturday is always jam-packed with football from the top flight of the Philippines, and another great game on our hands here between Army and Cebu.
It's actually going to be our second to the last weekend of the round one of PFL and of the calendar year in the top flight of Philippine domestic football. So enjoy it while we still have it, because for the whole of December we will of course have our Christmas break. On to the two teams now. We'll start off with Philippine Army FC, still winless, still pointless in fact this season, so that makes them 11th out of 11 teams in the league table. But sooner rather than later, they have to get a start and a point on the board somewhere. We don't know from which match it would be, but this would be a good match to do just that.
I think it's a real shame that Philippine Army have struggled so much in recent times. Philippine Army have a great and rich history in the world of football and used to be amongst the real teams to beat in the country. So, you know, I'd love for them to be able to rediscover that spark and to be able to find, you know, that inspiration that makes them such a force to be reckoned with. And hopefully in a game like this against Cebu, they will have that opportunity to be challenged and to show the best that they have available.
They have scored a goal this season, so their lone goal came against Maharlika, and that came in the second half in that match. But other than that, it's been loss after loss, unfortunately. The latest loss was a 7-0 drubbing against Stallion Laguna FC. But other than that, as you mentioned, Jing, this is actually a team that has a lot of rich history in Philippine football. Of course, Philippine Army actually had an extra week rest because their match against Tuloy, which was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago, was cancelled because of the typhoon at the time. So that means they're ideally well rested, you'd think, unless of course they are on duty. But they haven't played for 3 weeks, so they're going to be eager to get back into the PFL action.
I think a lot of us were looking forward to that Tuloy FC game to see, you know, would this be the game that they would have an opportunity to really get points? But unfortunately, the weather had other plans. But of course, Philippine Army, we know about them. They have traits that make them difficult to beat, and hopefully they'll be able to be organized and a bit more methodical in how they defend today against a Cebu side that's going to be, you know, raring to go.
They did score that one goal against Maharlika, and that goal came courtesy of Jimwell Ariola, who is their number 27 striker. Definitely a lot of experience under his belt, and he is going to be one of the players to watch out for this match.
You know, had 2 opportunities to score, perhaps even more in that game, but he missed the penalty that he had, the golden opportunity to earn the first goal. Pero gusto niya medyo may challenge ng konti. So si Jimwell Ariola scored in open play, and perhaps that would be, you know, the confidence booster that they need in order to be more threatening and, how should you say, more effective in front of goal.
Now, before we move on any further, let's hear from the coaching staff of Philippine Army FC.
So, kailangan lang namin i-hold yung mga atake nila. So, para makasabay kami sa sa laro nila. So, sa Army naman, ang pinaka-possible lang namin na makapag-score sa kanila is yung quick counter attack.
Well, there you have it. He outlined the game plan today, quick counter attacks.
Quite promising, actually, Diego, because that means they're going to be a little bit more robust and resolute defensively. And hopefully that would mean that they don't concede as many goals in this one against Dynamic Herb.
Now on to Dynamic Herb Cebu FC, a team with contrasting fortunes when compared to Philippine Army. They are at 16 points this season. That makes them 3rd out of the 11 teams in the whole league. They have 5 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses with a +12 goal difference. But they're coming off a really impressive 4-1 victory against Maharlika. And I believe, Jing, you actually called that match. What impressed you in that 4-1 victory over Maharlika?
What impressed me the most was how ruthless Cebu have become all of a sudden. They've been unbeaten in their last 5, and they've discovered this being really, really effective and efficient in how they attack teams, right? They're not interested really in holding possession and controlling tempo and possession. All of those things are positives, yes, but they're more interested in punishing you if you leave space in behind, if you're messy with your marking in set pieces. Any little weakness that you show, they're gonna pounce on you. And that's what I like about this side that Coach Glenn Ramos has created. They are extremely efficient and ruthless in how they operate.
didn't have ideal results against Wantagig FC and Kaya FC Iloilo. Those were losses, but they also beat Aguilas and, as we mentioned last week, Maharlika with a comprehensive 4-1 victory. Now, before we move on to the March, and let's also hear from Coach Glenn Ramos of Cebu. Or rather, got excited myself, but for our player to watch from Cebu, it's a player returning from suspension, Kaj Amirul, who's a promising youngster, but he's actually been around the PFL scene for quite some time now, and he's going to be given another start here today, assumingly at defense.
That's what you got to love about the PFL. You have some young guns that are getting some great experience. And this is a guy alongside the likes of Jaime Rosquillo, Ledel, and Brian Villanueva, who are all in that SEA Games mix. So napakalaking bagay para kay Kaj Amirul to be back, staying fit, and getting a good run of minutes here for Cebu.
And now is the perfect time to hear from Coach Glenn Ramos of Cebu.
This is exciting match tonight against Army, and we really prepare for this team, especially in our upcoming Shopee Cup. And we also respect Army team is also that strong. We're going to use also our players who are fresh legs. We can say fresh legs for those players are not have a playing time on the previous games. But our aim today is to win the game and earn the 3 points. And the team is really work hard on our preparation for this match. And I hope we have a high performance tonight. Thank you.
There you have it, Coach Glenn Ramos paying respect to Philippine Army, but also giving chances to players who might not have had many minutes so far this season for Cebu. It's actually a lengthy list of players who have not made the trip across from Cebu, but nonetheless a strong lineup from the dynamic Herb Cebu team.
And that's what you have to appreciate about how they've put this squad together. There will be no Borlonga, no Gadia, no Jeridi, no Rico Andes, who has been phenomenal for them this season, no Abu C. Yet, when you look at the lineup that they do have, plenty of quality, certainly enough to pose a threat against a side that is struggling at the moment in Philippine Army. So you do expect Cebu to remain favorites, and this is a fantastic opportunity for these young players and some of those that haven't been getting minutes to really impress Glenn Ramos.
An abundance of quality and also an abundance of youth, as you mentioned earlier on, a lot of SEA Games aspirants in this Cebu lineup. We'll see how they fare tonight, but nonetheless, it's a chance to impress Coach Glenn Ramos, especially going into the last two matches of round one and also going into the rest of their Shopee Cup campaign, because they have chances to play themselves into a lineup that will compete on an international level.
It is incredible how Cebu have progressed over the years, but for Philippine Army, they have an interesting challenge in front of them, because Cebu like to play when you are aggressive with them, when you press them. It allows them to put the ball in behind where Rico Andes and the other forwards can run into the space, right? So if Cebu, or rather Philippine Army, are going to play the way Coach Ronel Hiner had alluded to, which is they're going to stay compact, they're going to play a little bit lower, and make themselves difficult to break down, Cebu might struggle a little bit in finding the spaces to exploit to score goals. So we'll see. These opening 20 minutes or so are really going to tell a story of how this game is going to unfold. But, you know, Philippine Army will definitely be difficult to break down, in my opinion, in those opening exchanges.
A lot of incentive for the Gentle Giants this evening, because a win today would actually put them provisionally, of course, at first place. I say provisionally because the likes of Kaya and Manila Digger and even Wantagig will also play this weekend. But Cebu play first, so they have that small window of opportunity to go first in the league table. And remember, they didn't have the best start, so they've definitely recovered from the loss to Kaya and the loss to Wantagig as we approach our margin. Stay tuned. Pictured on your screen right now are the two team captains with your match officials. This game will be refereed by Raymart de los Santos. Assisting him will be Ryan Flores and Ronel Ogetigan. Fourth official will be Rodney Leble. Our referee assessor is Roberto Hernandez. And our match commissioner is Karen Ann Kaliway. The two captains are Jenmark Cortez and Anderson Pinto. Now you might notice that it's not white or red for Cebu for this match. It's actually their third kit, and I believe they are also selling this kit, and the proceeds will go towards the typhoon victims. So it's a nice cause and a nice moment for the Cebu fans. Here is, once again, the lineup of Philippine Army. Again, usually haven't had much success with this lineup, but today would be a good way to start getting points on the board. It's going to be tough against one of the teams that are gunning for the PFL title. Meanwhile, Cebu, on the other hand, it's a rotated squad, not the usual lineup that we see, but chances and minutes given to those usually on the bench. So it's going to be an interesting composition between the two teams this evening. Shortened substitution list for Philippine Army. Meanwhile, Cebu still have some quality in their lineup on the bench. As we see kickoff fast approaching, it will be Cebu in their third kit, the bright blue shirts kicking from right to left, and Army in their usual green going the other way. Again, I am your commentator, Diego Cordero, and alongside me is Jing Hamlang.
Diego, really terrible the things that happened in Cebu as of late, and it's great to see that Cebu Football Club are finding ways to be of service to their community. So for folks who are interested in these jerseys that they are selling, definitely do support them and help the cause and getting Cebu back on their feet.
For Cebu, a club with a strong sense of community, because you also know that they host watch-alongs for all their PFL games back at their own stadium, a stadium which also has a really strong atmosphere whenever there are games there. But we are here in the Rizal Memorial Stadium as the match has now kicked off, and as expected, it's going to be Cebu with the early possession.
So earlier in the season, we had sort of a revelation in how Philippine Army decided to approach the games, at least earlier on in this first round, where they decided they were going to play a bit more fluid. They were going to, sort of move on into this modern phase that, or at least the modern way, in quotations, of football, at least what is trendy these days, of playing out the back and pressing a little bit higher. Now, right from the kickoff, we see 4-1-4-1. They're going to play a little bit more of a low block and stay more compact, right? You can see Cebu, they're interested in pressing them immediately here. And Army, they're not going to try to play out the back this time around. They're going to launch it long, and we're going to get a bit of old school, new school here today, which is going to be quite fascinating.
Just in that opening exchange also, you did see when the two center backs of Cebu had the ball, Cebu were lenient in letting them have possession. Here they go though, down the right. This attack will be cut out by Philippine Army. It's going to be a throw-in to Cebu. That was cut out by the captain, Jemarc Cortez.
So in a way, Philippine Army do have the setup and the idea correct, in that, yes, Cebu is going to be confident to push their center backs forward and really commit players going forward. So if they counter quickly enough and effectively enough, there is going to be a lot of space in behind for them to take advantage of.
It's now also the second occasion where Philippine Army has opted to go long from a potential build-up. Again, just maybe being a bit more pragmatic compared to the way they started the season. It's handball called against Philippine Army though.
These goal kicks from Carl Virain are going to need to improve though. You want to go long, hit it long. It's got to go at least a half line or more for Philippine Army to be able to get into the opposition half and to relieve the pressure from themselves.
I have a feeling that the center backs, Resquillo and Camis, are going to get a lot of the ball tonight, given the way that Cebu, or Philippine Army rather, have been compact in the opening exchanges. Here's a chance though for Cebu. Early cross is going to find its target, and it's saved just about by Carl Jupiter Viray, but that was the first opening this early on. Just 2 minutes in, that was Kazusudo on the end of that move.
Wow, a great opportunity to open the scoring. And that should send the signal to Army that their marking needs to be better. Right now, it's a 4-3 on their last line. They need to maybe commit one extra player in behind, because it's not looking good early on.
The concerning thing about that move was, as well as Sudo, Brose was also in a goal-scoring position from that cross. In the end, it nearly went the way of either the goalkeeper just bailing out his defense. Cebu gonna win back possession high up the pitch. Here's Paulos. Paulos is gonna work the cross. It's cleared just about by Villaseñor, and here we go. Philippine Army gonna try to go the other way.
Look at that. Great ball forward. They got numbers.
Ariola pulled out wide. Celis. Good opening here for Philippine Army. Just go forward. Then they're forced back. That's good tracking also by Cebu. Just to push back the attack from Army. Eventually, possession surrendered.
Initial outlet into Jimwell Ariola was a fantastic ball. And already a little bit more physicality from somebody like Palacio. You love to see it. The reputation that Army built in their heyday was that they were difficult to break down, and they were very combative in how they made the contest. So you'd like to think that Army can, you know, be a bit more physical in their approach.
There's actually a collision between Brose and Villaseñor out of your picture. But I was just watching them tussling, completely unrelated to the ball. Brose hit the deck for a moment. He's back up now though. And play, I believe, is going to restart in favor of Cebu.
You can see our head referee, Raymar De Los Santos, having a look over to his fourth official, Rodney Lable. Gusto niya lang malaman kung meron bang extracurricular activity na naganap na kailangan ng extra action, pero wala naman.
Play will restart with Camis, who's going to look for the long diagonal towards Paulos. It's going to be a successful diagonal. Paulos is going to win, throw in.
He's been very good in this season. Paulos, he adds a real dynamism to the wings of Cebu.
Jerome Paulos, by the way, is only 20 years old. That makes him the 7th youngest player in the whole PFL.
Yun yung nakakagulat talaga para sa akin. 20 years old, that is incredible. But, you know, it goes to show, again, that the PFL is growing in stature, and that even young promising players are seeing that they can come here from abroad and really grow themselves as footballers and allow themselves a platform to thrive even more in the world of football.
Here's Corey, shoots from range. That's going to go way over. I think goalkeeper Carl Jupiter Viray won't mind shots like that. But as we were talking about Cebu, a lot of youth, Filipino-wise and foreign-wise, as I mentioned. Definitely a good thing to have when you're building a squad, especially if you want to look long-term.
Yun yung key doon, no? Yung nakikita natin yung intention nila with their actions, that this is not a short-term fix that they're looking for. Although they are seeking success now, they're hoping to be able to build a squad that will last the test of the next few years.
Here come Philippine Army. Winning that 50-50 just helps them escape that pressure. Bernardo goes for the early cross. Will it meet its target? Goes out, but that was good intention from Philippine Army.
What I like is the effort they're putting into the off-the-ball running, getting into dangerous spaces. There has been a clear intention to try to get in behind this Cebu defense.
Camis is going to go for the long diagonal this time. towards the other side, towards Sudo. And Sudo is going to get past his defender. He's going to dig out the cross, looking for Brose. In the end, he's going to go out for a throw-in. But that was another warning shot from the Gentle Giants.
Defending from the wide areas, slightly suspect from Army. They've been beaten a little too easily on several occasions now, at wala pa tayo sa 10 minutes.
Probably the best outlet of attack if you're Cebu, and the cause for concern if you're Philippine Army. Kamis is going to be forced back to his goalkeeper. This is Joseph Seniza. Again, Army just happy to let Kamis have possession of the ball. That's a good pass into midfield though, towards Glenn Ramos, who is fouled in the process.
If you're not going to be defending the wings well, you must put in the extra effort to deny the ball to the wings. So I appreciate the intention there to get tight onto Glenn Ramos. Just a little too exuberant on that occasion.
Early cross. It's going to go towards Villanueva. Early cross back into the mixer. But that was well caught by Carl Jupiter Viray. Brian Villanueva from left back, all the way in that position.
And this is where Army have really struggled all season. It's a problem that they really need to address. They get overloaded in the wide areas because they are strict about their four at the back, but nobody tracks the extra runner. And a lot of the times the fullbacks are involved now. If they know they're going to control a lot of the ball, the team will commit their fullbacks, adding an extra man in that wing area. And they're normally extremely wide open, as you saw there with Brian Villanueva. If they allow this to happen throughout the game, it's only a matter of time, Diego.
Speaking about youth, Brian Villanueva, of course, from the Tuloy program. As I mentioned, Paulos is the 7th youngest player in the PFL. Brian Villanueva is even lower. He's the 5th youngest at 19. Chance maybe here, though, for Army before it's eventually poked away by Kamis. And once again, Philippine Army are going to drop back into the compact mid-block. Just allow the two center backs of Cebu to have as much possession of the ball. Pinto. Sudo. Goes for the Trivela pass towards Ramos. Ramos is going to get there. Back to Sudo. This is excellent stuff from Cebu. There's a trip. No call from the referee.
Seemed like a clean enough tackle.
Amirul. Brose. Paulos. Cebu just picking up the pace. Pinto has time and space. He's going to shoot. It's over. But if you're Philippine Army, that's not what you want to see. That much time and space for one of the danger men, one of the players who scored against Maharlika in that type of range.
The Portuguese captain firing from distance. You can see Sai Villaseñor extremely upset with the players in front of him because they were caught ball watching on that left side, not tracking their markers, making sure that they were putting their bodies in front of that danger zone outside of the box. Army just need to sort out their organization a little bit here, because so far it's been with a hint of good fortune that they haven't conceded yet.
Army going to try to venture forward, but it's eventually won back by Paulos. And here is Pinto. Again, got that excellent goal against Maharlika where he smashed it into the roof of the net. Villanueva, robust challenge from Palacio. Just on Pinto, was actually surprised that while his nationality is listed as Portuguese, when I spoke to him after that game against Maharlika, he spoke with an English accent. So he actually grew up in England, actually grew up a part of the Tottenham Hotspur Academy setup. So that's how high he reached in his youth days. He's now traveled all over the world and now finds himself in Cebu.
It makes it more understandable now why he is the captain, because communication, of course, a key part of that. Is an ugly collision. A little bit of contact from behind from Brose that took the Army player into his goalkeeper. Medyo masakit yon.
Cortez tussling with Brose. A lot of physicality, and I think just a collision between the two Army players.
You can see no real extension of the arm from Brose, so nothing malicious. But Jmar Cortez, his momentum taking him into the shoulder of Carl Viray. And it seems the collision of his face to the shoulder has caused a bit of lasting damage. Bit of a look of concern from Coach Glenn Ramos.
While not ideal, it's also going to give a chance for Ronel Henner and some of his players to get some more instructions. Auxiliary water break, if you will. But Cortez is still down, receiving treatment. So it's not that encouraging, actually, if your Philippine Army is going to get back onto his feet after all of that. But I assume this would also mean that for the next minute or two, Philippine Army are going to have to play with a player less. And against a team like Cebu, could be a problem.
And Jmar Cortez has played 89% of the minutes for Philippine Army. He's played and started in every game so far. So even if, you know, if he leaves this field, you know, just in terms of familiarity, it's going to cause a bit of a shakeup in this Army side. And you wonder how they will adjust to his absence.
Of course, protocols, especially for head injuries, must always be followed. And that means that Cortez is going to have to spend a certain amount of time, maybe even seconds, off the pitch before he's allowed back on.
You can see here a change in the person taking the set piece or the goal kick, just to get a bit more distance on it, because it's crucial for them to relieve the pressure for as long as possible.
Here's Sudo. He's been getting a lot of the ball in this first half. And from, I believe that's Villaseñor, no nonsense. Just clears it out of play, especially while they're still down to 10. Although, as I say that, Cortez has finally been let back in by the referee. Pinto. Corre. Amirul. With pirouette. It's Paulos. And that's good defending from the left back of Army.
Solid. Paulus is a tricky customer, but he's gotten the ball back here. Ooh, look at that. Just one too many drags. He's going to the end line. Paulus, so tricky.
Definitely a fun player to watch, especially if you're a Cebu fan. And as you said, Jing, looks like it's going to be Carl Jupiter Viray once again to take this goal kick. Let's see if there has been any improvements in terms of height and in terms of distance. He has targets to aim at in Ariola.
You can see the way they're set up. There's 4 of them out there near the halfway line. There's definitely room for improvement in that goal kick.
And once you see that, actually, that it's a 4-on-4 in the last line, I do think that all they need to do is win one of those 50-50 duels and something can happen. It's not the prettiest way, of course, of playing football, quote-unquote, in the modern game, but it is definitely a tactic that is proven and tested in football.
Over the years, more and more teams have decided that the way to play is to play through teams. Ooh, bit of a late one. Sai Villaseñor upset. He looks like he's going to get booked on this one. Oof. And he needs to be careful because he's a very important player in this team. Sai Villaseñor has experience playing at a very good level of football. Let's have a look at it here. looked like he might have taken a touch of the ball, but the follow-through was a lot of the shin. Was it a yellow card?
Pretty sure the reactions probably didn't help. But as you mentioned, Jing, he did get the ball. Perhaps the referee just seeing a lot in the follow-through. But it's also not an ideal place to do that, because it means you're going to get a set piece, and the height advantage is very clearly with one of the teams, and that is Cebu.
In their last outing, this is an area where they really thrived. So Army have to be extra vigilant. A lot of targets to aim for.
Watch out in particular for Kamis. He is dominant in terms of height. Just looking at it from here in the commentator booth. Paulus is going to send in the outswinger. It's going to be met by Cebu player, but not cleanly enough to direct it into anywhere dangerous. So Army are going to get let off with that set piece.
That passage shows a little bit of the jumpiness of Army. They could have had an opportunity for Viray to collect that, but they weren't taking any chances.
Army gonna go forward with their own counter here. Is Ariola. What a pass! It's Celis through on goal. Philippine Army, could they take the lead? And it goes just wide. That would have been the first time they led in the PFL this season. And what a chance that was.
Pinpoint example of what we were talking about in the build-up. You come from a set piece, numbers are committed forward, and then Philippine Army drilling well in how they counter. Jimwell finding Celis in acres of space. He's got to hit the target in that position.
20 minutes in, Cebu have dominated possession, but you'd say the game's biggest chance has actually fallen to Army. Again, still goalless here between Philippine Army and Dynamic Herb Cebu. It's Diego Cordero alongside Jing Hamlang calling this one. And really, unexpectedly, this match has become quite exciting.
And that's the game plan working out to perfection there. Is at the end of the day, you can have all of the possession in the world. It's only the goals that really count.
And while the
Go ahead, Diego.
while the focus might be on that Celis miss, what about that pass actually
Fantastic.
from Ariola?
And they've had a couple of these really nice outlets actually in behind. That goes to show that Coach Renell and the rest of the gang have been working hard on them. Ooh, that was tight.
Ball ended up in the back of the net, but the linesman had his flag up even before Paulus picked up the ball with his first touch. And let's see whether or not that was actually offside, but if it was, that was a good defensive position. Actually, here's the chance from Celis. What a chance that was to take the lead. By the way, Army have lost the ball in build-up. Here's Villanueva, great footwork, and he's going to win the foul. Look at that footwork from the youngster.
And they've given it away by trying to be cute in front of their own box. They get pressed, dispossessed, and now they're under pressure.
It's going to be another yellow card for Philippine Army. This time it's to Bernardo, and that all came from the fact that he just stood and blocked Paulos, who's going to take the free kick short. So it's not an ideal way to get a yellow card, and this time Paulos is going to send it into the penalty box.
The frustrating thing about that is that it was a pass backwards, actually, from Pinto.
Ball was sent in directly from Pinto, but it was met well by an Army defender, so they can escape that set piece once more. Well, as you mentioned, that foul all came from trying to be a little bit more intricate than they needed to be, because they've already proven in this match that there is a template for them to get chances, and that's by playing direct and straightforward.
It's become a trend in modern day that you have to play through teams, but you know it's perfectly legitimate to play over teams or to play around teams. There's three ways to get to the goal, and you know, I suppose for many viewers, they like to appreciate aesthetically a team being able to pass their way through a team. Personally, I have no issues with a team going direct. If it's effective, it's something that I like. And Philippine Army certainly have been doing things right in these opening 23 minutes. They've gone through the first half of this opening period without conceding, and they've had the best chance of the game, Diego. So why change now?
That cross came in from Ramos, and while it was going wide, goalkeeper Carl Jupiter Viray just had to look at the back of the net for a moment just to make sure it wasn't going in, because we actually saw a goal from a cross turned shot in the last game in Stallion versus Don Bosco Guerrelli, as I had a momentary brain lapse. But there we see a bicycle kick clearance from Philippine Army. Everything's happening in this game. I think Army might actually be happy with the fact that 23 minutes in, now turning 24, they haven't conceded, which is a landmark that they've rarely reached this season.
Exactly. So they're going to have to be quite proud of themselves at the moment. And you can feel as if the confidence is growing, that the game plan is working for them right now.
Now, under 25 minutes, it's a good landmark actually. Here is Pinto though, trying to change things up. And that's good skill from Pinto. Driving into the box, he's gonna meet, Sudo's gonna meet his cross, but it's well off target. But that was a good moment from the captain of Cebu.
That's two occasions now where Cebu should have scored in the opening minute or two when they had a chance in front of goal, and that's the second one. Free header for Sudo to take advantage of, and he hasn't gotten it anywhere near the goal.
Army going short this time and they lose it.
That's 2 for 2 on disasters from trying to play out the back.
Well, if they needed another sign, that's not the way to go. There you have it. Corre is going to cross this one in. Sudo is not offside. Brose and Sudo again. Still Sudo. It's blocked at source and eventually worked clear. But that was another dangerous moment of concern for Philippine Army.
It's just infuriating, really, to watch if you are an Army supporter, because everything is risk and reward. And there's just so little reward you're getting from playing out the back. In fact, you've placed yourself under extreme pressure. And again, almost conceded as a result of that.
Here's Pinto once again. Sudo. Corre. Pass is straight to an Army fullback. So Cebu still unable to work any clear-cut chances. Here's Sudo though. Good first touch, but that's also good defending from Villaseñor, and not only does he make the tackle, he also wins the free kick in the process. Maybe a little bit of frustration from Sudo there, also with his missed chances earlier on.
Good tracking from Sai Villaseñor. Saw where the danger was. It was a good run from Sudo. Needed a good defender to track it. Sai Villaseñor was in step with him the entire way.
Cheeky first touch from the Japanese attacker, but Villaseñor, good read of the ball, and the referee is actually going to allow him to stay on the pitch despite the fact that he went down. Let's see this time what Army opt to do from the restart, and this time Carl Jupiter Viray says no playing out, and he's going to try to hit this one long.
It's a smart move, and it's a much better kick from him as well.
Late one from Paulos, and it's the first yellow card for Cebu. You actually heard it from here, just heard the shin guard get clipped, and that's going to be a free kick to Philippine Army.
First yellow card for Cebu. I think it's rightly given. Bit of dangerous play from Paulos as the boot was high. Let's have a look at it. It looked like na-plancha niya sa ere. You know what it is? It's the fro that gets me. And the beard. Like, how are you 20, sir?
Believe it or not, folks, he is 20 years old, has a long and promising career in front of him. But just going back to that instance, Army going long from a goal kick, they actually gained this free kick. So it just proves that they can move up the pitch that way. Amirul. The Army, to be fair to them, at times have kept compact. There is a bit of concern down the wide areas, but at the moment they're about to reach 30 minutes without conceding a goal. Again, this is not a landmark that they've met too many times this season.
Again, I think it's important that teams keep the goal in mind, right? Every football team has the goal of scoring more than their opponent and denying their opponent opportunities at their goal. And right now, Army is doing that by playing in this manner. I think they shouldn't diverge from it.
Rosa is going to send this one in. Well met by an Army head. The clearance just about works out. Here is Celis. Gonna push Army up the pitch. But that pass is misdirected and it's straight to Corre.
Roy Kent Bedia didn't have a look before he passed that one into midfield. Nobody home.
Rosquillo, who I believe has the most minutes also for Cebu. Brose. He's tracked well, but he's gonna pirouette away from his defender. He's gonna work the cross. Corre. Strong challenge from Army and clean, according to the referee.
Much better defending from the men in green, getting numbers inside the box, plugging the gaps. And even the defending in the wide areas has improved.
There you have it, goalless. The first 30 minutes, Cebu with possession and with a few chances. The game's biggest chance fell to Philippine Army. Celis with the one-on-one going wide. Villanueva though, down the left, he's gonna work the cross in and it's cleared. So Cebu having a bit of a hard time finding the gaps that Army usually show to their opponents, but they're not showing much of it tonight.
Well, they've adjusted a little bit better. In the opening minutes, they had some great chances in front of goal. Sudo in particular has had his opportunities. Cebu, despite conceding the best chance so far, could very well be in front. And here they are, opening goal from Paulus.
Well, that all came from a really good pass from Ramos in the midfield. He found his wide man and the cross was simple. It just gave Paulus a chance and he wanted it more than the defenders. He just stretched every sinus to get on the end of it. It's the assist from Amirul and the touch is simple but back or into the back of the net. Here was the pass from Ramos. It's a good pass, really good pass to find Amirul. But if you're Army, you'll be conceded that after defending so well in the opening parts of this match, it was a really simple goal to concede.
Masakit para sa Army. Had two players that could have closed the gap on Paulus. Instead, he had all the space in the world to waltz into the danger area. There's a simple finish in the end. And the resistance is broken.
Just a little bit of a discussion going on between Paulus and the referee. I think there is a small possibility that it was in fact an own goal, but we'll await confirmation, of course. There you have it. It is Paulus who got the opener. Here's Amirul who got the assist. Now striding forward from fullback. He's going to go for the early cross. Met by Villaseñor. Army going to play with fire a little bit. Eventually they work it clear. If you're Philippine Army, all the defensive work that had been going well undone so simply.
And really no surprise how it's gonna come about. We talked about the wide areas and defending it as an area of weakness for Philippine Army. That ball came in, they didn't track the run. it's cost them dearly. Sudo's 2 chances, similar, right? That's where it comes from. And they haven't made the adjustments necessary to ensure to plug the gaps. Unfortunately, they've been made to pay here after riding their luck in the opening half an hour.
That was Mark Linen de Guzman just on the deck for a short while. He is back up on his feet, so the referee is going to allow play to restart. But at 1 goal down, it does really change the complexion for Philippine Army, because now the onus is on them to be the aggressor, because they're in a losing position, so they have no choice really.
The real challenge is, how do they find the back of the net? They've only scored once so far in this season. That's been a real area of struggle for them. So they're going to need a bit more of that inspiration going forward. They've shown flashes already.
Really strong barge from Ariola, but the referee says it's legal, and Army get a free kick to the frustration of the Cebu dugout. Well, what about that physicality from Ariola? Cebu, or Army rather, tried to play quick, but the referee did not allow it.
Had a feeling the whistle was going to go because he had a look at his man before he went shoulder to shoulder. But ultimately, no whistle. It was an excessive force from Ariola. Certainly the referee in a great position to see it.
Philippine Army are going to go long from this free kick just behind the halfway line. Send it in to the opposition penalty box. It's defended well by Cebu, and Ramos is going to win a free kick in the process. Has it been the display you've expected from Cebu?
Yes and no. I expect them to be a bit more clinical, a bit more ruthless, as is the description of them heading into this. But exploiting the wide areas, getting balls into the box, that has not been a surprise at all. Meanwhile, for Philippine Army, been pleasantly surprised with how resolute they've been and how dangerous they look going forward. However, those key moments, Diego, very, very important to keep your focus, especially in these types of moments right here.
Brave punch from goalkeeper Viray. It was Sudo once again nearly on the end of that cross. It's still with Cebu though. Here's Corre. Corre's gonna go for the shot. It's over. So Army escaped that pressure from the Gentle Giants, and there's actually gonna be an Army player that goes down following that play. The referee's gonna have to stop play once again.
I think of the many options that were available from that position, Army would happily take that shot from Corre from that angle. There are 4 players, other players inside the box with blue shirts. And Corre deciding to go on his own would have been the lesser evil for Philippine Army, but Sai Villaseñor seems to be rocked a little bit from an incident inside the box.
Not the first time that he's gone down in this match, so it could be a reoccurring issue. Again, he is receiving treatment. But if you are Philippine Army, don't forget that you had the chance to take the lead through Celis, and him putting that chance away would have completely changed the complexion of this first half.
It's a game of chances. You gotta take them. And if you miss, sometimes you're made to pay for it. Kanina medyo naiisip natin, would Cebu pay for their missed chances? But ultimately, that Celis miss is going to be something that haunts Army in these opening 45 minutes.
Philippine Army gonna have to play with 10 men just for the moment, because Villaseñor is still off the pitch. And if you're Cebu, this could be a good time to capitalize on your opponent's disadvantage.
Nicanor Palacio is there in the middle, but Royken Bedia has dropped into that center back role, and he looks a little bit unsure.
That's a poor pass though from Kore, and that won't help Cebu apply pressure, especially when they have the man advantage. Philippine Army, you'd assume she's gonna slow down the game. If you're Philippine Army, don't want to concede another before the half ends. You're gonna go long from this throw-in.
I think that's clean.
Here's Pinto, Sudo, a lot of space. Again, they're down a man. Paulos nearly on the end of that move. Crucial intervention from Palacio, and the goalkeeper is gonna have to clear this. No nonsense clearance. Villaseñor is still off the pitch, so Army still down to 10 at the moment. Here's Pinto, diagonal looking for Sudo. The touch looking for Villanueva was weak, and so it's back with Army. And Ariola nearly latching on to the end of that long ball, but Cam is reading the danger before it happened. Excellent diagonal by Pinto. Opening here for Brose. Looking for Paulos. It's met by Cortez. Brose once again. He's going to look for Paulos once again. Paulos chests it down. What a take that was, but it was his weaker right foot. And it's a save by Carl Jupiter Viray. Out for a corner kick. Pressure is still not done though, because Cebu are going to send this one in.
Doon mo makikita yung kumpiyansa ni Paulo sa abilidad niya in that tight space to take it on the chest, control it. And had a fantastic opportunity. The pressure is still on Philippine Army.
In swinger towards Camis, who got the first contact, but it's not anywhere near on target. So Army are going to get away with another set piece. Again, height advantage clearly with the Gentle Giants, but Army haven't paid for it in that regard.
Not quite on target, but the delivery was spot on. That's the man that you want to be connecting with. And they've made the connection on that occasion.
Viray is going to go long once again. There's definitely been an improvement in those goal kicks earlier on in the first half. They were very low, but they've now gone higher. And chance maybe here for Philippine Army. Could this be their second one-on-one this match? Not quite. Crucial touch by Camis. The template is there for Philippine Army.
Very close. Very close that there was going to be an opportunity in behind. That's a silly one. It's going to be a yellow card, and it's too easy to call.
It's going to be Roy Kent Bedia, the third Philippine Army yellow card tonight, and that's the fourth of the match overall. It was a really late one, actually. Didn't see any protest at all from the suspected party. Probably a sign of the guilt.
It's more of a frustration foul than anything. You're not stopping anything dangerous. He was going backwards, in fact. You just wanted to take a swipe at somebody.
Oh, what a pass from Pinto to Villanueva. Again, forward from fullback. The cross is going to be caught, or punched rather, by Viray. Not that convincing, but it works out in the end for Philippine Army. Paulos, no foul from Paulos. Going to take the shot from range. It rolls gratefully to the hands of Carl Jupiter Viray. Army really incensed by that, actually. Really incensed by that non-call.
I think it was clean. Paulos did enough. Jimur Ariola was just a little too bothered by the presence of the Australian.
Rosquillo, oh, excellent pass to Sudo. Great passing range from the center back. Here's Sudo taking on his defenders. Going to go for the early cross. And a lot of tussling between Brose and de Guzman. And Brose is making his frustrations clear to the referee, but the referee opting not to take any of it into account.
All day, this left flank, Sudo, Villanueva. With impunity, they've been able to get into that final third and threaten with good deliveries inside the box.
Army, they could just do it with reaching the halftime break down a goal. Going down 2 would make things really, really hard going into the second half. Chance maybe to go forward though. It's gonna reach, just about, it's gonna reach. I believe this is Bernardo. Has a man outside of him. Oof, stays on his feet just about. The referee playing an advantage rather.
I think he should have gone down. Could have gotten a free kick outside the area. Tried to play on.
Paul is gonna go for the diagonal towards Brose. Brose! Saved by Viray. But what about that pass from Paulus? We were sitting right behind it.
Oh, it's a thing of beauty. We had the perfect angle. That you saw the vision of Paulus there. The run was from deep. He anticipated where the runner was going to be. And it was just a fantastic delivery. A little bit of a better control would have led to potentially this being 2-0.
It was a laser-like diagonal from Paulos. And a small part of me actually wanted Bros to just go with his head. Robin Van Persie-esque. Here's Ramos. Not long now until halftime, so we're definitely gonna want to double their advantage. Here's Paulos. And for a moment, goalkeeper Viray was just unsure of what was gonna happen. He's gonna be really grateful that nothing happened. And the Army escaped yet another chance from Cebu.
It's been an adjustment for Cebu, putting Paulus in a more central position because he's been the most threatening in front of goal. And Cebu really miss a killer like Rico Andes at the moment.
Here's Paulos finding Corre, blocked and cleared eventually. And amidst all that, there's confirmation of the 3 additional minutes, but Cebu with a massive chance to make it 2-0 right before the halftime interval. Villanueva is going to work out the cross. Brose going for the bicycle kick. And he doesn't connect. Eventually out. Here's Celis, has Ariola, only Ariola in front of him, and he smartly just maintains possession for Philippine Army. There's actually a player down for Cebu. It's Paulos, which is not encouraging. He's still down.
You hope it's nothing serious. He's been the standout for Cebu so far. He's been the standout in this game. I'm not sure what led to the situation here with Paulus, but definitely in need of some treatment is Ursum Paulus. As from Daniel. Let's have a look at it here. Ooh. Just a little late. Mukhang tuhod sa thigh, perhaps. Could be a bit of a dead leg for Ashram Paulus. Brose being saved. A second look at that bicycle that didn't quite get close enough to the ball.
Paulos is going to slowly get back onto his feet after receiving some of what we like to call yung magic spray. He's back on the field. It's going to be a momentary water break for Philippine Army. I'm not sure how happy the referee actually is about that, because there is no water break in night matches, as far as I'm aware, in the PFL.
Yeah, he's trying to get the game going here. Paulus seems to be all right. Not fun to take a knee to the thigh.
Paulos, however, looks like he's made of tough stuff. He's going to be back on the pitch, 20-year-old. But for Philippine Army, it might be a weird one, because while they're down 1-0, they might actually be feeling that they could have entered the halftime break with much more.
Definitely had a sniff at goal earlier on. They haven't had too many opportunities, but that one was a golden one. They've done reasonably well in comparison to their previous outings in this first round.
Celis is going to look for Ariola directly, but that pass is asking way too much of the forward of Philippine Army. And we have now approached, or reached rather, 3-minute mark. Referee might just allow a little bit more play to be let through because, of course, Paulus did go down. But the evidence here, clearly from Viray, is that he'll be happy to go into the halftime break.
I think it's crazy that you're wasting time and you're the team that's currently behind and chasing the game.
The kick from Viray is going to go straight out, so not ideal. But that is the first half here between Philippine Army and dynamic Herb Cebu. The lone goal of the match coming from Paulus. But other than that, it's been a tight affair and a lot of chances to both sides, but a big one fell to Philippine Army. In the end, the lead is with the Gentle Giants, and they'll go into the halftime break in front. But would they be happy with this performance?
I would say Cebu will be a little bit disappointed. They'll feel they need to be 2-3 goals ahead at this point of the contest, but they've run up against the Philippine Army side that has improved from their previous outings. So what's important is that 3 points are looking likely. As long as they have the lead, they will be quite pleased, but they will definitely be very motivated to get more on the board in the second half.
Don't go anywhere just yet because we still have 45 more minutes of action between Philippine Army FC and dynamic Herb Cebu FC. Big chance in the opening minute or so. But Army slowly but surely actually started to plug the gaps and make sure that they remain contact in that first half. And they actually did invent one or two openings.
After that, maybe big chance in the opening minutes. This was the opportunity from Army. Celis firing that one wide, but it was a real opportunity to open the scoring at that point in the game. And Philippine Army's game plan was intact and working well, but they were quickly undone by a very simple finish from Paulus in the end. It seems strange that the back of the net all of a sudden ruffled because he didn't make solid contact on it, but it was enough far away from Carl Viray to trickle into the net. And this was the chance from earlier, and that's really the difference so far. One goal from Cebu, which I'm guessing very few predicted that it would just be 1-0 at halftime, and that's fair play to Philippine Army, who seem to have improved significantly in this contest.
They kept it close, and there's another replay. The big chance for Celis, and for those of you who missed it, that chance came when the scoreline was still 0-0. So that was a chance not only to get a goal, to get Army's second goal this season, to get the go-ahead goal against a team like Cebu. And who would have thought that Army would have created the biggest chance of the game to that point? Anyway, this was, as Jing alluded to earlier, the simple goal of Paulos that separates the teams at the moment. Here are the first half stats. Possession, as you'd expect with Cebu, shots count and the shots on target count heavily in favor of Cebu, but that might not tell the story actually of where those shots came from, because one of them for Philippine Army came at a really promising position. 8 fouls though to Philippine Army and 3 yellow cards, 2 of which were completely avoidable, so they're not doing that well on that regard.
Yeah, 41% possession, no surprise there. It's been largely controlled by Cebu, but despite all the numbers going in their direction, they're going to head out into the second half with a real fire to improve, because they are going to want to get more goals in a contest like this. And not just because of goal difference, but because they need a performance to keep their confidence high. There's a lot at stake in the PFL. You want to be continuously improving your level, especially since Cebu will also be going to play in the ASEAN level. So it's an opportunity for a lot of players who are not getting minutes. And right now, are they showing enough for Glenn Ramos to, have issues with picking his sides in the biggest possible games? I don't think so.
2 changes are going to come from the Cebu dugout. That is Leo Makiling and Bolchol Boltong. We're going to come on. Let's see and await confirmation as to who is going to step off for the Gentle Giants. Philippine Army is still yet to exit their dugout as we approach the second half. But what Cebu might not want is to just allow and give life to Philippine Army, because just looking at it on paper, you do expect that Cebu are going to take this match with a bigger scoreline, it must be said. But the match hasn't gone that way, and that's just another piece of evidence that football is not always played on paper. It's actually played on grass, as Army approach from their dugout as we approach the second half.
I love these substitutions. In fact, these were the changes that I was hoping would be made by Cebu. Leo Makiling, this is a match that's screaming out for an out-and-out striker, a real attacker who scores goals. He's a poacher and, versatile in the way that he is able to hit the back of the net. So this is the dynamism that you require if you want to get more goals. So Leo Makiling entering the fray will be a huge positive. And then you have somebody like Bolchol Boltong, who is a large target and also very crafty in his own right. I think these are positive changes for Coach Glenn Ramos. And meanwhile, Villaseñor being with one in this one. Some changes now, Army as well. Of course, no no surprise, we're seeing Nestorio Garcia. He's a staple in the second half. A little bit older now, so he comes in as a closer for Philippine Army, but that means that there's going to be a bit more craftiness in the midfield for Philippine Army, so they might be able to hold on to the ball a little bit better and perhaps be able to find those passes in behind a little bit better as well.
45 minutes until the end of this one. Anything can still happen between these two teams. A flurry of substitutions, as we saw confirmed on screen, as Army, now kicking from right to left in their all-green shirts, are going to start things off in the second half. And as you mentioned, Jing, it's Leo Makiling straight into the number 9 position.
And this is a statement game for him, or at least the potential for a statement game for him. Put me in, coach, and watch me cook. That's got to be what's the mindset of Leo Makiling at this moment.
John Celis and, as you mentioned, Jing, Villaseñor coming off for Philippine Army. Celis is going to end this night early after having the game's best chance for Army's goal, and Villaseñor, after going down on multiple occasions in the first half, is going to step off. Probably crossed in from Paulos, nearly a first involvement already for Killing, but it's cleared and punched away by Carl Jupiter Viray. But there you saw it already, the movement from Makiling. Oh, and that's given away. Paulos! What a save from Carl Jupiter Viray. Paulos nearly getting second goal, and his personal second goal of this match.
How many times does Army need to get punished being cute at the back before they abandon this way?
Paulos is going to send this in. It's going to be an in-swinger. He has a new target in Tong, who's quite tall, it must be said, just looking at it here from the stands. Sent in. It's a low one. He met by Rosquillo in the near post, but it goes off target. So Army are going to get another let-off after they conceded that corner from another let-off. They gave the ball away to Paulos.
Here's another one that is pretty tricky from set pieces. Hakilio. Dami nilang weapons from the set piece. So you want to minimize their opportunities with free kicks in and around the area, as well as corner kicks. Ooh, interesting. Not sure how that call went the opposite direction.
But I think he overturned it, actually. So, looked like initially he gave the Army, and then he overturned his decision.
I think even Jimwell Ariola couldn't believe his luck.
Here's Ramos. Works cross. Look for Makiling. Gonna get there. Actually work clear. But again, Makiling, in 2 involvements, has caused problems and chaos in the opposition penalty box just with his movement. He hasn't even touched the ball that much.
Paulus was placed into the number 9 role in that first half. He's not a natural striker. Leo Makiling is a different kind of animal in that sort of area.
Here is Makiling once again, nearly on the end of that pass from Ramos, making a lot of runs after his substitution in this second half. It must be said, you have to keep a close eye on him if you're Philippine Army FC. Of course, Leo Makiling, former Ateneo football team player, so it's nice to see that a UAP standout has made his way to the PFL and made his way to a really good team.
Not just stand out for his team, amongst players that really thrived at UAP during his time. He would have been a threat in any lineup that if he was placed in any lineup in that UAP, he would have been, you know, a key player. So it's good to see Leo Makiling getting a run out, getting a chance to impress in his natural habitat up front.
Army going to continue to try and play out, and eventually Carl Jupiter Viray just launches it towards Ariola, and they win the 50-50, or the second ball rather, and that's how they progress up the pitch.
We talked about Leo Makiling being in his natural habitat. Here's a man in his natural habitat as well, Boogie Margarce. a joy to watch. He is advanced in his years, and he's not going to be covering as much ground as he used to, but just his vision, his calm in the middle of midfield, it's going to add a different dynamic to this Army side.
And Army, because of a foul won by Margarce, so we're talking about him, are going to get the set piece in the Cebu half, quite far out, but a chance to put a good and just actions of the Cebu backline.
Boogie Margarce, kasama yan sa national team during the run of the Miracle in Hanoi. One of those players from the domestic league that, you know, made their mark in that lineup. And there's a reason why he has continued to be a part of the Army team. His game is not so much about his physicality, but boy, is he crafty.
Kamis with the header clear. You saw very clearly the height advantage that he holds over all his opponents. Ball still with Army though, so they keep possession in the Cebu half. Is that another foul? It is. So Army are going to get another set piece, and it's going to be taken quickly, but quite some way away from where the foul actually happened, and the referee, Raymart de los Santos, is going to have none of that. But nonetheless, it's a set piece opportunity in quick succession for Philippine Army.
Try lang ba? Si Roy Kent Bedilla, sinubukan lang. Baka payagan eh.
Philippine Army, no question, this position gonna go long in the box. Looking at the likes of Camis, Tong, Rosquillo, really towering over their opponents. But let's see if they can just cause a little bit of chaos. They don't have to win the first contact, but maybe the second ball could be something.
Oof, they would have won it. They would have won the second ball there. That was the intention.
Ball back with Cebu. Pass is short. And Amirul is going to concede a foul and get hurt in the process. Not actually too sure what he hurt. Holding his wrist.
I think his shoulder might have popped out.
Oh, that's right. Shoulders being treated. I've actually had one of these happen to me personally, where they just go out of place for a second or two, and those can be really painful. And Amirul's gonna hit the deck.
No bueno for Kaj Amirul here. You can see him trying to win this duel. And then, oof. All of a sudden, that left shoulder.
Well, there's no obvious pull from the opponent's shoulder. So off the contact injury, which sometimes can be even more concerning for players, especially in a contact sport like football, that if you go down without any contact, it might be something internal. He is going to get back onto his feet though, but he is really holding that shoulder.
This is a disappointing one, because you don't expect Kaj to continue in this game having dislocated his shoulder, because any contact to that is going to be detrimental to the long-term health of that joint. So they're likely going to replace him. Luckily for them, they have a lot of options. But this was the comeback game for Amirul after a lengthy absence, and he's going to be gutted that he's not going to be able to continue here.
It's not good timing, because he was also probably thinking about the SEA Games squad that will happen later this year. Chance maybe for Army was Cebu are down to 10 men.
That's 100% on his mind right now. You hope it's nothing serious. It's something that he's going to be able to withstand and recover from quickly, because he is going to be in consideration for that SEA Games squad for sure.
Just out of your picture, he is still sitting down on the touchline, and I think he's transformed his t-shirt into a makeshift cast. Not what you want to see if you're a Cebu fan. Here is a chance maybe for Cebu though. In the end, it's going to be cleared by Cortez. Kept in maybe. Or actually a foul was called.
Looks like it's going to be a team effort now. Even the physios of Kaya are in to help. So, you know, it's a serious thing. Amirul now still getting treatment. Perhaps more worryingly for Cebu is the lack of activity right now on the sideline to replace him, because he's clearly not going to re-enter this game.
Do have options. If on the bench is Noah Ledel, but there are others also on the bench. Here's Paulos though. Cebu down to 10, but that won't stop them from attacking. Paulos, Ramos, combining with Paulos. That's a good 1-2. Ramos is going to work the cross in, and it's Paulos, and it's off the post. What a half volley that was. And it flew. Momentarily, it looked like it was going to the top corner.
It always looks so effortless with Paulus, but he got a lot of power behind that. It could have a hat trick at this point in the game. That was very close.
Amirul is back on his feet, just out of your picture. Now has a cast.
Oh, this is crazy. He's just put something to support it, actually.
Wow.
And to keep it in place. He's probably just going to try to avoid getting his shoulder into any contact, but he wants to continue playing. That's how badly he wants to play.
Paulo sends it in. It's going to go through everyone and eventually be cleared by Philippine Army. Anyway, Cebu still down to 10. They've been down for quite some time now, but the Philippine Army haven't been paired. Just on that effort from Paulos, it looked like it was a half volley that he actually struck into the ground. Great technique from the 20-year-old, and it's really unfortunate from him. He's going to get the ball again now here. Great diagonal from Pinto, or so I thought, but that was a good interception. And Amirul is finally back up on the pitch.
He's a warrior. Amirul comes and collects immediately, and he's looking to attack too, and he's dropped his man. Oh, this is crazy.
Who says you can't play with a dislocated shoulder? Amirul, not only is he playing with a wimpy shoulder, but okay, as I was going to say that he's not allowed to take throw-ins. It must be said that it would not be a smart decision to let him take throw.
Because it's not like it was dislocated from a shoulder to shoulder. It kind of just came out in an innocuous manner. So maybe this is a recurring issue for Kaj at this point, and it's something that he's quite familiar with.
Now on to Philippine Army. On the other hand, they're actually about to approach 60 minutes, still only one goal down. While they haven't created any chances in this second half. This is probably a checkpoint that they haven't seen too much of this season. Here's Tong. Is he tripped? He stays on his feet, works out the cross. It's blocked eventually. Do wonder what would have happened if he got down there. That's a really hefty challenge. And there's some afters here between Pinto and Cortez, and he's going to get a little bit out of control.
Pinto coming in to protect his teammate. He didn't appreciate that swing of the leg at all. And as the captain of his team, he felt it was time to stand up to what he felt was his excessive force.
Well, there are 3 players from Philippine Army currently on a yellow card. All 3 of those players need to make sure that they remain really vigilant not to receive any further punishment. But there are still words being exchanged and the heat is still continuing between the two sides. Here was the hefty challenge.
I'd love to see that one more time. There, you see Pinto, he could get sent off here. He could get sent off for a full swing on Cortez.
By the way, that's the two captains this evening. So obviously when the two captains are going to go at it, all the other players are going to follow, and we're going to need to keep track of this.
That is extremely lucky, actually, for Cortez to be booked. And Cortez has gotten a yellow as well for that late one. Take full swing after the wind had gone. Violent conduct easily from Anderson Pinto. An understandable reaction to what he felt was excessive force, yes. But was it the type of action that deserved a bit more of a punishment? You can't just go out full swinging at somebody who doesn't have the ball.
But amidst all the chaos, let's remember it was a free kick awarded to Cebu that started everything. It's going to be Paulos to take this from a tight angle. But you've seen these curled in a la Tony Cruz in the 2018 World Cup. But Paulos is going to get a chance to test the Army backline once more. And there's confirmation there was Cortez with the yellow card. And one was also issued to Pinto. There you have it. Paulos just moving the ball actually, according to where the referee believes the foul. And goalkeeper Carl Jupiter is going to have to be careful against this ball. It could be quite a dangerous scenario. Has the shot as an option, also has the cross, given the height advantage of his teammates. Ezrum Paulos.
This is a nightmare position for Viray, especially with the capability that Paulos has on his left foot. He can curl it in far post, he can curl it in near post. There's a group of blue shirts right in front of him as well, just outside that inner box.
Paulos is going to send this one in, goes for the shot. It's straight into the wall, so the wall does its job. Back in by Ramos and cleared for a second time. Coach Glenn Ramos also putting his hands in his head after that free kick. Went straight into the wall.
Best case scenario for Army there.
Army, can they launch a counter-attack? They might be in here. It's going to be one-on-one. Philippine Army, what can they do from this scenario? The pass was just under hit. And from a promising counter-attacking position, Army are unable to take advantage and punish the Gentle Giants.
Joshua Gatinao getting into a really good spot. And you'd expect him in a one-on-one type of situation to cut inside and perhaps pull the trigger, especially against the young man, Brian Villanueva. He's opted to be unselfish there, but andun yung recovery run para sa Cebu. But still, it is a corner kick. Their first of the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Just a warning sign for Cebu that they're not done and dusted just yet. It's a very slim 1-0 advantage that they currently hold, and that can still be wiped out with the Philippine Army goal. It's going to be sent in swinger for Philippine Army to attack. It's a bit low and met straight by Amirul. Paulos is going to try to go the other way. He has a man in front of him. This is Tong. Has Pinto in space. Pinto is not seen. And there's more afters once again. Free kick taken quickly. Here's Ramos. Corey. Tong. With footwork. Pinto, 1-2 with Tong. Back to Pinto. Shooting opportunity. Fake shot, and eventually the shot is deflected out for corner. Maybe one touch too many for the captain.
So close from Cebu. A bit more composure inside the box. That's what you want to see from Cebu. Saw Army scrambling all over the place, but they've done just about enough to deny a chance.
There is an Army player down at the moment. He's gonna go back up onto his feet eventually, but the referee is gonna allow him also to stay on the pitch and not get any treatment. It's gonna be Ramos to take this corner, his first corner to be taken, if I'm not mistaken. It's gonna be an outswinger in the number 15. Again, has a lot of tall targets to aim at. And Army taking a risk by leaving one player on the halfway line also. Ball is sent in, met by the goalkeeper. That was a really good punch. Pinto's gonna dig out another cross and get fouled, or rather win the corner in the process.
Challenge was clean, said the referee. Another opportunity now.
It's going to be Ramos once again, this time from the other side. In swinger into the dangerous zone, and once again, that was the last play by Carl Jupiter Viray. That's two good punches from the goalkeeper in a crowded area.
It's good delivery from Ramos here. You want to get it into that area, that inner 6-yard box. Allow your tall players to attack the ball. Do a bit more drive rather than hanging up into the air.
So by, I believe that was Camis, but it was wide. And the Army are going to try to spring a counter. Well, linesman saying that the ball went out of play before the pass. 66 minutes now, still scoreless in the second half, and the Army are still really in this game.
Who would have thought that? Given the score lines they've been on the wrong end of in this first round, very few would have expected that the same team annihilated Maharlika very quickly. Game would be at this scoreline with Philippine Army.
Amirul, Kore, looking for Amirul once again. It's cut out. Army, they're so deep that the counterattack isn't even on. They play out of it, to be fair to them. Well, Cebu have regrouped though. It's back with Cebu. Pinto just going to control the ball for a little bit. Back to Ramos, being trusted with a lot of possession. That's a good pass to Tong. Tong down the right, cuts inside. Left-footed cross straight into a defender. Still with Cebu.
Haven't been able to find Leo Makiling in the last 10-15 minutes or so, after him being a real threat early on in the second half.
Amirul to Kore. No offside called. Amirul. First time cross is sent in towards Paulos. What a save. Worldy from Carl Jupiter Viray. Paulos, from the moment that left his head, would have for sure thought that he'd gotten his second goal. But Carl Jupiter Viray has other things in mind.
He's had 4 great chances now. Paulus has been able to convert one. Let's have a look at it here. You back him every time in that battle. A great stop from Carl Viray. He's had at least 2 or 3 big saves for Philippine Army.
And Carl Jupiter Viray might have hurt himself actually, making that full stretch save from Ezra Paulos, going to succeed in corner. But that play also came from a really good cross from Bolchol Boltong. And even before that, Amirul, who at the moment is playing like you'd forget. Just a few moments ago, he went down with a really concerned injury to his shoulder. He looked completely fine now though. Nonetheless, we're about to approach 70 minutes and it's 1-0 in favor of Cebu. against Philippine Army. Again, I'm your commentator, Diego Cordero, and alongside me is Jing Hamlang, bringing this one to you.
Nakabawi na nga to si Kaj Amirul. Broke somebody's ankles earlier on.
Paulo sends it in, and it's a miss, and it's gonna eventually bounce into the back of the net. Army are contesting a handball, but the referee defiantly points to the center circle. That means it's 2-0 in favor of Cebu, and at 1-0, it was a close game at 2-0. Cebu now have that cushion, can now alleviate some of the pressure that's on their shoulders for the rest of this match. Let's see how this unfolded.
That's a painful. Oh, it looks like it did come off the arm. It came off the thigh and then maybe the arm of Amanhom Kamis. Let's have a look here. Can't really see from that angle, but let's put it this way. It's not going to win goal of the week. Scrappy as they come, but it is a very important goal for Cebu to settle the game a little bit for them. Take it off the knife's edge. Add a bit of a cushion for them.
Might just be discussions over actually who got the last touch on that goal. Might be an own goal actually after all the deliberations are finished. But if you're Philippine Army, you'll be really disappointed because for a really long time in this match, really near the 70th minute, you kept it close at 1-0.
So yun na nga yung confirmation, si Kamis ang nakascore. We talked about the presence that he brings in set pieces, and yun, finally, nakita na natin. And yun talaga yung gamble, no? With Cebu. You give them enough chances from set pieces, they will make you pay. Over the course of this first round, we've seen to be very dangerous from set pieces.
It hasn't been the classic Cebu performance, though they could add to it here. Here's Pinto looking for Paulos. Pass into a really congested area. Here's Amirul. Pinto switches it out. Corre cuts inside, not once but twice. Trying to find a way through, instead goes out wide. Amirul with some space, curled cross in towards Paulos, but it's punched by Viray. Possession still, or possession now surrendered to Philippine Army. As I was saying, it hasn't been the classic Cebu performance, but at 2-0, you would imagine that they would see out this match. Oh, this might be a chance. Nearly a chance for Tong. Looked like a shot from Amirul that was mishit. And what is going on here? A little bit of tango between Making, the Zit defender.
I was gonna say it was a great pass from Amirul. He's hit that hard, trying to get the man on the far side. And this was Leo Makiling. Heads up play, just shielding that one out. A couple substitutions now for Cebu. That'll be the end for Paulus. He's done well. Easily the brightest spot on the pitch for Cebu.
Ball is sent in. It's met by Rosquillo. Exclamation mark. 3-0 in favor of Cebu. And like it was for the second goal, it's a set piece that is due of Philippine, who were so stubborn for most of this evening. But now it looks like the floodgates have just opened. And it's now 3-0 in favor of the Gentle Giants. Here's the replay.
Oh, that's a great header from the center back. Jaime Rosquillo. Pinamumukha tayong magaling kasi kakasabi lang natin na yun nga, threat nga tong si Jaime Rosquillo sa set piece. And that's the reason why. He's got great hops and great anticipation there in the air. Not a player you want to leave unmarked. And from what looked like a very competitive fixture is now looking more and more one-sided as Cebu find the back of the net now with a bit more regularity.
Philippine Army will be really disappointed because they kept it close for large portions of tonight's game. But that 3-0 is only one way this match is going to go. It might get even worse for Philippine Army. It could have been the first goal and first touch from Hannibal Bond after his introduction.
What a ball from Leo Makiling. And the work rate that he's put in to reclaim possession for his side in that sequence.
It's a poor pass. It's straight to Hannibal Bond. He's going to find Pinto. No offside. Pinto to go for goal and get fourth. Pinpoint and clinical finish into the far corner. And the captain makes his mark on this match.
The Army really need to salvage this game a little bit, because now they're doing their performance a disservice. They've not cleared their lines well. They've left so much room. And look at this, it's a 3-on-2. Pinto actually taking a tough shot at that angle, but a beautiful finish from the Portuguese cap. There's not a scoreline that is befitting of the performance of Philippine Army. Kumbaga, natatapon nila sana yung ganda ng pinakita nila sa larong to.
That was also the last involvement for the captain Pinto. He's now given the armband to someone else. Await confirmation as to who. I believe it's actually Amirul, who now has the captain's armband. Pinto is going to come off for Azim Zadeh from the bench.
Amirul, amongst the youngest on the pitch, is wearing the armband.
Wearing the armband on the arm that too long ago everyone was concerned about.
Oh, ayaw mong lumabas kahit na dislocate yung shoulder mo. Ito na nga yung captain's armband. Huli mo na nga.
It's also the end of the night for Jimuel Ariola, and in comes Jomar Acedo. Same for Roy Kent Padilla, and in his place comes Quezon Jumawan.
Not surprised with those substitutions. Need some fresh legs out there. Philippine Army, as they were being really cut open in the last 10 minutes. And meanwhile, for Army, or rather for CEBU, wala na halftime break. They're up 1-0. You can't be too pleased with that scoreline. And so you make the right changes, you make the adjustments, and now you're getting the just rewards that you're looking for. CEBU will be now pretty pleased with what they're seeing.
Cebu would go first in the table, at least for a short period, with all 3 points. Speaking about that, they'll also be keeping a close eye on the next game tonight, because at 8:30 we have the big one. It's going to be Kaya FC Iloilo against Manila Digger FC, the team that won the title last season and the team that finished a point behind them last season. So there's going to be a lot at stake here tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow, our Sunday doubleheader, we also have Valenzuela PB Mendiola against Aguilas UMAC FC. And the weekend will close with Tuloy FC against One Taguig FC. But then, don't even tune out just yet, because, of course, over the course of the next week, I believe on Monday and Thursday specifically, we have the Philippines playing in the 2025 FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup as privilege of being host. And that's definitely an exciting thing for a lot of Philippine football fans to watch out for.
The first ever inaugural, staging of that tournament being played right here in Manila, well, specifically in Pasig City, but you know what I mean. And it's a great honor. It's great to see that a World Cup event being staged in our country. So definitely daming ganap sa larangan ng football ngayon.
Of course, also stay tuned to our weekly show, the Minsan football show that happens usually every Wednesday before a PFL match day. Although we won't have any more, this stays left, this being included for the rest of 2025 as we will have our winter break. Here comes Cebu though, looking for their fifth, crossed in. It was a really crucial header just to make sure that Tong wasn't on the end of that.
We're gonna have to call it something else because we don't have winter here in our country. So the year-end break.
Of course, no matches in December. All PFL teams will take a break in December and play, or round one cross coming in from Ramos. It's going to be met by Tong eventually. Goes back, crosses sent in, pinballs, and eventually work clear. Still Amarul. Shots taken, goes wide. Could have been the fifth though for Cebu.
Shot from Bond, had a lot of room to pick his target. Wasn't able to get it on frame. Carl Viray has been a busy boy in between the sticks for Philippine Army. His opposite number, however, a complete opposite. Joseph K. Ceniza on course to getting a clean sheet. Hasn't had much to do at all.
Ramos is going to try to keep this in, though it's overhit, so it's out for a goal kick. Just under 10 minutes now for the rest of this match. Match number 42 of the 2025-2026 PFL season. And Philippine Army will be really disappointed, but if you look at their performance in phases, there are some positives to go forward with. Although the result, obviously, is the up and first and foremost, most important thing in football. So they won't be happy in that regard.
I think there's been an improvement, at least in terms of being a little bit more difficult to break down, not being so naive, I suppose, in trying to press a little bit higher and trying to play out the back. I think those things have been positives. They've showcased that they look threatening on the counter when given the opportunity. And as long as they stay down on this path and continue to make games a little bit more physical and a bit more of a game of attrition, I think their chances of picking up points increases. I think Cebu, they got a bit nervous for a little while there. We got the hour mark and it was just a one-goal game. So Cebu will obviously look back at this and think, sure, 4-0, yung final score, or potentially even more. But for a moment, it was a tricky nut to crack. That is for sure.
Philippine Army going to have a chance maybe to get on the score sheet. It's a set piece from quite some distance, but it's a chance nonetheless. It's going to be taken right-footed in towards the back of the net, but that's going to be no goal according to the linesman.
First real involvement for Ceniza.
Ceniza not having to do an awful lot in the first 82 minutes, but it was called to action, and to be fair to him, was alert to the danger that came.
Munti ka nang makaisa. Si Boogie Morgarce. Shot on target today.
In Philippine Army, only one goal scored this season. That came against Maharlika. Other than that, it's been goalless in all of their other matches. They nearly got on the score sheet on multiple occasions tonight. That's the thing. They had more than one chance. Although the best one, still obviously that miss early on in the first half by Celis. Kame is just going to cut this and clear and start the counter attack for Cebu. Here comes ball. Just overran a little bit. Cebu eager to add more to their scoreline and bolster their goal difference, which could become a tie-breaking factor at some point later on in the season. Won't be a tiebreaker factor as early as now, but Cebu playing the long run in that regard. Again, for Philippine Army, they'll be disappointed also in the fact that their run of games is really tough, because their next game is Manila Digger, and that is going to be a really tough test. What a turn by Ramos.
For one.
Was a pretty blatant foul. So you get the frustrations of the Cebu dugout. They all stood up and cleared the bench.
I don't think it's any more than just a yellow. I think the punishment was pretty quickly meted out, as was proportionate to the crime, so to speak. So there really doesn't need to be any extra emotion from Cebu about it.
This ball is going to be sent in by Ango. Quite some distance, but he's going to get a lot of height on it. It bounces and eventually it's cleared by Philippine Army. Shot's going to come in from Villanueva. He lined that one up. Couldn't get it on target.
The space just opened up in front of him. Why not?
There was confirmation also. The yellow card given to Mark Linen de Guzman following that tackle on Ramos.
How many is that total now for Philippine Army?
I think that makes it 5, which is a lot to pick up in one game. Here's Tong. Goes to Ramos. Cross sent in. Makiling. Still Makiling, and he's gonna get a really good save, but the follow-up is into the side netting. So Cebu nearly making it 5th on 2 different occasions. In the end, it remains at 4.
So close for Leo Makiling. Deserved that goal. It was a great strike. And meanwhile, the man who was introduced alongside him, Bolchol Boltong, has been a handful since coming on. Kung makita mo siya, siguro yung initial impression mo, nako, magiging target man to sa gitna. Malaki siya, but really, it's with the ball at his feet that he has been the most dangerous. He is very clean, very good technique. Not gonna win the whistle like that.
Gumban with protests that were unheard by the referee. Here's Amarul using that shoulder of his. Amarul with a really good diagonal to Ramos. Ramos has an overlap, doesn't use it, but he's gonna find a teammate in Rosquillo. Amarul, by the way, playing as if nothing happened to him earlier on in the second half.
Yeah, we thought he was a definite prospect to be substituted.
The 2 number 44s going at it. Tussling. And it's gonna be a corner kick, or free kick rather. So Brian Villanueva winning the duel of his opposite number.
Brian Villanueva trying to get more and more involved now. finished strong for him after being a key weapon in that first half. Medyo mas tahimik ang kanyang second half.
It's going to be sent in once again by Ramos. It's a very congested 6-yard box that Carl Jupiter Viray has to deal with. Sent in. It's a very high punched away by Viray. Rosquillo on the follow-up. It's eventually out for a corner as we approach the 90-minute mark. The fourth official is going to signal a total of 6 additional minutes. Referee Raymar De Los Santos is making sure there's no extra pushing and shoving in the box.
Cebu, they're so desperate to get one more on the board here at least before the whistle goes.
Sent in a really deep one, too deep in fact. It's going to be out.
But you understand the difference in approach from Glenn Ramos. Every time he's put it inside that 6-yard box, Carl Viray has come out to deal with it.
It's Ramos. Delivery slightly overhit. He's going to win a corner kick once again for Cebu, which he'll probably go over to take.
Only corners.
It's actually taken quickly. Here's Bond. Amirul. Sent in by Amirul. Chance for Villanueva. The offside flag is up. So
Wouldn't have even counted, Diego, because Carl Viray was behind it. But you know, I'm not sure if Villanueva was actually offside there. It looked like his defensive partner Camis was. In the end, it wouldn't have mattered as Carl Viray's heroics continue.
Carl Viray really involved tonight. At times, sounded like a broken record just mentioning his name. Completely in contrast to the opposite goalkeeper, Ceniza of Cebu, who only had to make one notable save. And other than that, he's gonna walk away with a clean sheet if the scoreline stays the same in the next 4 minutes.
4 minutes to go. Not sure if Army still have an opportunity to make a substitution here. They may have one more window, as the halftime substitutions don't count as a substitution window. You must say, this is more like it from Army. There have been some matches this season where you really didn't give them a chance at all, and where they put up very little fight. In this one, they were in it for at the minimum of 60 minutes. And before the floodgates opened, it was anybody's game. Fair play to Cebu. They kept knocking on the door, eventually forced their way through.
Makiling, the second half substitute. Smart back heel cross is coming in. Looking for Bond. Just overhit slightly. Cebu really eager to get that fifth and add one more to their tally. Strengthen their goal difference even further.
You have to appreciate that hunger from them. They've put their foot on the gas and haven't let go.
Army, by the way, still down to 10 men because they have a player receiving treatment on the touchline.
Mukhang wala na silang kapalit dito na pwedeng ipasok.
Just under 2 minutes now, Cebu look for their fifth. There's a chance for Cebu. Gonna be fifth. And that is a cameo goal off the bench from Bolchol Boltong.
Fantastic finish. A great setup play. It's not often you see a team that's 5 goals ahead now pick up the ball from the back of the net and put it onto the center circle. And again, that's just a bit of poor marking from Army. You see the defender put his hand up because Tong was coming from a few meters behind and got there in front of his man. Cebu will be very pleased with this scoreline, especially after going into the break just 1 goal ahead.
The second half capitulation also from Philippine Army, because they did a lot of good things in this match, but the floodgates after the second goal wide open for Cebu to exploit, and they reap their rewards of going relentlessly on the attack for the whole 90 minutes. Cutter for Rule. Crossing opportunity perhaps. It's going to be sent in. Right, will he deal with it? Just 10 seconds left before the full-time whistle. Cebu nearly adding a 6th. You'd imagine they'd be happy with the 5. They might get a 6. That's a really poor clearance. Ramos saved by Vera. I think that was going wide anyway. That might just do it for this match. We have reached the 6-minute mark.
Nope, time for one more.
Referee exercising leniency. Cross is gonna come in eventually. It's actually short. Villanueva. Still Villanueva works out the cross. Another chance! And it's over, and that's gonna signal the full-time whistle from the referee. It ends in favor of Dynamic Herb Cebu, 5-0 over Philippine Army. But for large portions of the match, Philippine Army were competing, and they were competing well in the end. It's all too familiar for Philippine Army though, because the floodgates completely opened up for the Cebu to exploit.
The result, perhaps what we expected, Diego, but to get there was certainly a bit of a surprise. The Philippine Army had done well to start the game and continued that on well into the second half, but things got out of control once we hit that 70-minute mark. Ayun na, bukas na yung floodgates, and it started to get a bit ugly for Philippine Army, but kudos to Dynamic Herb Cebu. They continue to pick up steam here in the Philippines Vol League.
5-star performance in the second half, it must be said, and 5 different goal scores across the 90 minutes. They go first in the table, at least I'm with our next match in mind. Of course, that's stay tuned for that. But for this one, it's been a pleasure. Jing, this has been Diego Cordero and Jing Hamlang calling Philippine Army and Cebu. As we see the story of the second half, it was a lot of one-way traffic. Army not with a lot of chances in the second half. There was the controversial second goal, but the second goal nonetheless. Then here was another, I think this is Rosquillo's goal, corner from Ramos, and what a header this is from Rosquillo.
Medyo nagiging suki na si Jaime Rosquillo sa mga ganyang klaseng set piece. A great goal from the center back. Very well taken from the man from Iloilo. And then things got from bad to worse for Philippine Army as Pinto added this one from a tight angle. There's no look back there. They had gotten a taste of blood, and they just kept on going. I thought Makiling deserved that one. Sayang. Leo Makiling, I thought, was put in a great appearance in that second 45 alongside Tong, who found the score sheet here.
And stay tuned because we have one more match, and it's a big one for this Saturday. It's going to be Kaya FC Iloilo and Manila Digger FC, and they're going to kick off at 8:30. But for this one, it's been a pleasure. Myself, Diego Cordero, and Jing Hamlang calling this one. Thank you, and stay tuned.
Congratulations on on the result of the game. Congratulations. Sorry. Congratulations on the. Sorry. Congratulations on the result of the game. So, what are your thoughts after the match?
The match was actually pretty good. The other boys, they came in hard, they did their thing, and we tried to get the results at the end, because at the first half it was 1-0. So the boys came second half strong and they did their work. So yeah, pretty much the game was good for both teams here.
And so, what are your message to your fans?
I would just like to say thank you for that came to our game. We fought, we did our best, and we got the results for the fans, and we thank you. Next time, hopefully you come for the next game, and hopefully we get our results for the next game. So yeah, thank you for the fans that came through. Pretty much, that's it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.